do, but other than that, it's all good. How about Dale? How's Dale? What's his name? Dick Dale. You see him at all?
I do. I see him at Monster Fest every single year, so he's always a great person to catch up with and hang out with.
Yeah, he's a true independent, so give him my love.
I will. Oh, mate, I've got to say congratulations on this brand new film. I sat down and watched it last night and absolutely fell in love with it. So thank you so much for giving us such a great movie during this time when we need fun movies.
Well, thank you, and sing it to the world. Give me a quote for the poster.
I will. I'm writing my review.
Oh, that's great. Thank you. Please send it to me on Twitter or Instagram, and Grant's got my email if you have any other questions. I know the time is short.
Definitely. Well, Lloyd, I wanted to start off by asking what made you decide this time to tackle The Tempest as the basis for the film?
The Tempest has always been my favorite Shakespearean play. I saw it with my mother, which was horrifying, but she's the inspiration for my brother's movie Mother's Day, and but I loved the play, and I've loved it ever since. So I was interested in tackling The Tempest when we did Romeo and Juliet, but I realized I wasn't at the right age to really get into Prospero's soul, and James Gunn had a great contribution to Romeo and Juliet. So now that I'm old and decrepit and kind of banished from the world of mainstream art, I can feel Prospero. And The Tempest, has a monster, and it's very druggy, which is my beat. And also Prospero is losing power. He can do magic. I do magic with cinema, and I feel The Tempest in the same way that I felt Romeo and Juliet when I visited Shakespeare's birthplace, Stratford-on-Avon. So it was a labor of love, really. There's no chance we're going to make money with it, and luckily I have some friends, and I have a few bucks, and we got a few people that understood they were not going to make any money, but they gave us. We ended up with the movie is under $500,000 US, and you can see with all the trained whales and everything that in anybody else's, if anyone else made this movie, it would be $20 million.
Yeah, you mentioned that you saw The Tempest with your mother. What was it that made that play stand out for you? Because I know that you do love theatre. So what made The Tempest stand out to you?
Well, I think I just enjoyed, when at 9 years old, I enjoyed the story, but then I saw it on television. I think Lee Remick played Miranda, Roddy McDowall played Ariel, Maurice Evans played Prospero, and I wept, and I was maybe 8th grade or something like that, which is, I don't know, 15, something like that. And I saw many different iterations of it. I very much enjoyed Derek Jarman's version, British version. And I just remained my favorite play. I've seen a lot of Shakespeare, and I love them all, but this one really meant a lot to me. And after I went to my university, which was Yale, and learned a lot I had a lot of drugs there, and The Tempest is, I think, the druggiest and most, possibly the most magical and weirdest of Shakespeare's plays. I think it was, a lot of people say it was his last play, although there's some issues about that. There's another one that people say was his, which I haven't seen as his last play. I don't think it's really his last play. But The Tempest is just great, and it's funny, and it's touching, and it's romantic, and it's got special effects all over it. And I think hashtag Shakespeare's Shitstorm would be very pleasing to William Shakespeare. I think he would love it.
Definitely. One of the things I love is when a filmmaker brings Shakespeare into modern times. It seems to work so well. What was that process like for you? How do you sit down with the original play of The Tempest and then write it into modern day culture?
Well, Gabe Friedman, with whom I wrote Poultry Guy's Night of the Chicken Dead, and he was our supervising editor for 10 years. He's now got a big job in Los Angeles. I talked to him about how am I going to do this, because basically the Tempest is all set up, right? It's all set up, and then Prospero says, "Okay, everybody, let's go home." So we had to get over that little bump, because at least the American audiences want a beginning, middle, and end that keeps them on their seats. It keeps them on their, keeps their adrenaline flowing. So Gabe's father had read about a fecal bloom, which is whales apparently get together and go to the bathroom, defecate together, and it's very important for the environment. That's why we cannot kill the whales, because those fecal blooms are vital to the plankton and other creatures of the ecological food chain. So I looked into it, and by George, it exists. So so that gave us the idea that let's make a shitstorm instead of just the average storm. That we'll go a little, make it a little, take a few liberties. There's Shakespeare's dialogue. When there are important lines, we have the actors speak iambic pentameter, just like James Gunn and I did with Romeo and Juliet. So I think it works pretty well. In a fair world, I think Netflix or Amazon would show this movie, but we're nobody will talk to us there. But
yeah.
I'm looking at what they're showing these days, and there's a lot more explicit stuff. It's just trite and garbage and politically correct and blah blah blah. This movie is not necessarily politically correct, but it's in the fullness of time. Just like the Museum of Modern Art 20 years later presented Romeo and Juliet, and also premiered Return to Newcomb High, the New York Museum of Art, as screen 2 of my movies.
Yep.
And and the French Cinematheque and the British Film Institute and pretty much every archival American Film Institute, they've all done tributes or retrospectives. It just takes them about 15 years to get it.
Yeah. I also enjoyed the fact that there was a little bit in there as well about woke culture and snowflake culture. Tell us a little bit about why you decided to approach that in the film as well.
Well, in the United States, we have free speech as long as we don't say anything.
Yep.
And, it's for me a very difficult thing, because I believe in the First Amendment, and the First Amendment, which is free speech for the Constitution, has been defiled. I'm sure you've been reading about good senators like Al Franken who've been kicked out because of some stupid photograph, harmless photograph that they were in 20, 30 years ago. It's absolute baloney, and people are scared. Most people are scared to even go on, say anything.
Yeah.
For fear they'll come in. And they saw what happened to James Gunn. Luckily, hashtag Truth and Love saved the day for him. But the thing that finished it for me was that my alma mater, Yale University, supposedly one of the best in the United States, a Nobel Prize-winning professor and his wife objected to a letter that Yale sent to their students saying, "Now Halloween's coming up, little boys and girls, so be very careful. Don't appropriate other cultures. Don't wear a Mexican hat. Don't wear a Chinese pigtail. Don't, blah, 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 blah." And what was okay is, "Where's Elmo?" That's what they suggested. So this wife of the Nobel-winning scientist, superstar professor, who also happened to win a Nobel Peace Prize, nothing much, she wrote an open letter saying, "We think that Yale students should be smart enough to decide what to wear for Halloween." And then all hell broke loose among the snowflakes and the social justice warriors, and they came en masse to the courtyard where the professor lived, and he came out to try to reason with them and have a civilized debate. And they basically lynched him, figuratively lynched him. They wouldn't let him talk. And these are little kids, little mindless kids, and they're screaming at the poor guy. And, he left, and so did his wife. He left Yale. They lost a good professor and a good wife. And so that's really what pushed me over the edge when I saw that. when I heard a very large woman say, I don't care about that. I just want a home, right? They don't care about education. They don't care about history. They don't care about facts.
Yeah.
They want a home. I want basket weaving. I want to be in the, I want to be a movie star. I want to go on TV. There's a great movie, I'm sure you've seen it, called A Face in the Crowd by the shithead named Elia Kazan. But it's a wonderful movie, and it basically predicts exactly what we have in the White House now, except that the guy in the White House made it, and Andy Griffith, who should have gotten an Oscar if he didn't, his character was destroyed.
Yeah. Was the large woman that you just mentioned, was she kind of a basis for the woman in the film that meets a chicken by any chance?
No, actually a comedian who is not funny.
Yeah.
Was the inspiration for that character.
Yeah. I've got to ask, Lloyd, we're being wrapped up, but I want to just quickly ask before I go, because you love The Tempest so much, did this make it harder for you to actually cast this movie, like to find your Miranda and characters like that, seeing you love them so much?
Well, we took a long time to cast, and Troma is famous now for introducing stars. We're the Roger Corman of the East. Samuel Jackson, Marissa Tomei, there was Vincent D'Onofrio, James Gunn, Eli Roth. I can go on and on. Eli Roth. There are hundreds of famous stars who started with Troma. Even Paul Walker, the late Paul Walker, and Fergie have major roles in Monster in the Closet. So when we start casting, we get a line around the block, and there's so much latent talent in New York City, and my movies usually star young, new talent, and I prefer working with non-stars because they look more real.
Yeah.
And the public can accept our crazy scripts with new people. If I cast Taylor Swift in one of our movies, it'd be Taylor Swift. It wouldn't be Miranda. You know what I mean?
Yep.
So in a way, I prefer even though I'm on a low budget and I'm basically sleeping on the floor and eating cheese sandwiches, it's a better way to work, I think. And actually, John G. Avildsen, my mentor, who directed Rocky and Karate Kid, among others, and directed Cry Uncle, which you can see on watch.troma.com, Troma Now, he never used stars. He all his great movies were unknowns for the most part.
Yeah.
And what a legacy he left. I think he's the most underrated American director, except perhaps for George Romero and me.
Yeah. Well, Lloyd, again, thank you so much for giving us this great movie. It's come at the perfect time for all of us, and we can't wait for it to screen at Monsterfest. So thank you so much.
Yeah. Well, please, if you have any more questions, Grant has my email, and if any of your fans want to contact me, I answer all my Twitter and Instagram at Lloyd Kaufman. So feel free, and if any of you come to New York, visit the House of Troma. You'll meet you'll meet a small number of very, very brave and courageous lovers, veritable lovers of cinema.
I will definitely take you. I will definitely. I will definitely take you up on that, Lloyd. Thank you so much again. Have a great day, and we'll chat again soon, I'm sure.
I hope so, Dave. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Bye.
Thanks, Dave. All right, Lloyd. I'm going to let Simon Foster in.